Michael Malone had said before the game is that when you lose by 29, we all know what's coming. It just took 24 minutes for Minnesota to kind of get to that point where they made this a game, and they did in the third quarter. But to me, Shaq, it's like a lot of times the team will get a wake-up call, but it's in a loss. Denver won the game, still got a wake-up call that, hey, this is not as easy as it might appear.
Yeah, when you get up big, sometimes you get lackadaisical. They know they're going to beat this team. Look, you got 4 starters in double figures, 67 points from the 1-2 punch, and everybody played well. I agree with Coach. Michael Porter played a great game. He looked like a baby Klay Thompson out there, shooting the ball. But sometimes you have laps in the game, but it's all about how you responded. They responded like I think a championship team should have responded, and they played well. And when you got one of your 1-2 punches going off like Jamal Murray, definitely going to be hard to beat. Minnesota had chances to win. They competed in the second half. They got to learn to put 2 halves together. Still going to need more from Karl Anthony Towns. Edwards played a great game for a youngster, 41 points. Played excellent ball, but somebody else going to have to give him the lift, and I think that's Karl Anthony Towns. 3 out of 12 is not acceptable. Rudy Gobert played pretty good, but Karl Anthony Towns definitely going to have to step up if they want a chance. And they have to compete in 2 halves, not just 1 half.
The big fella just covered a lot of ground right there. What can you add to that wrap-up of what we just saw, Chuckster?
Well, Denver did what they had to do. They had a big lead. It's hard to play with a big lead sometimes. People tell you want to play at the same intensity level. When you got a big lead and you're coming off a 30-point win, it's hard to keep it up. But to piggyback on Shaq's point, if you're the second-best player on the team, you got to play like it. Karl Anthony Towns has more turnovers than made baskets. That's not going to get it done 3 for 12. Rudy Gobert is not known as a scorer. Haslett had 19 tonight. But it's really going to come down because Karl Anthony Towns should actually have an advantage, size-wise. But see, he's ruined this game, in my opinion, by just becoming a 3-point shooter. If you're as big as he is, you're going to have a size, height advantage every single night. But if you're going to stand out on the perimeter, 2 things: you don't get to the foul line, and you don't use your height. So it's useless height. So, and that's what bothers me about his game. I'm like, he's one of the few guys in the NBA who's going to have a height advantage every single night. There's no player he's going to play against where he's going to have a height disadvantage. But because he's become a perimeter player, he don't punish them when they go small, and he just stand out there and shoot jumpers.
Meantime, we were just treated to a display by Anthony Edwards and Jamal Murray in this thing.
Yes, we were. If you're Minnesota, you say, well, how did we get success? And, as Charles, one of the points was what I was going to say was Charles, but first of all, they drove the basketball. Anthony Edwards, his ability to not stay perimeter and drive the basketball, I think is his biggest attribute, not the 3-point shooting, even though I think he broke a record for the amount of time being in the league, hitting a certain amount of threes. His asset is driving the basketball and changing it up. Secondly, they had success in the pick and roll, even with Mike Conley. So they threw the lob to Rudy Gobert, he dove to the basket and got it. The last thing they did not have success or did not do is what Charles said. Karl Anthony Towns did not post up. And his inability to post up the basketball doesn't create sustainability when you have runs. You can't sustain the run because you can't get an easy basket. And so that's it. And on the other side, defensively, Minnesota have to give up this drop coverage where they pick and roll and they just say, we're going to have Rudy Gobert sit in the paint and we're going to let Jamal Murray shoot, college threes. That is not a recipe for winning basketball. So it's 2 areas, post-ups and pick and roll basketball. If they improve those areas, they can win in Minnesota.